Hello, everybody. Welcome to Quantum Catechesis. I'm Father Joe Krupp, and you are not. And I am at a secret location, an underground bunker in Colorado, at a location known as the Meadows. It is here that I meet with other world leaders to determine the fate of Western civilization. I'm going to be totally honest, that's not true. I'm not at a secret location in an underground facility in Colorado named The Meadows. I stole that from a movie called So I Married an Axe Murderer. Instead, where I am, did anyone know about that movie? Have any of you people seen this movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer? That's one of the great movies of all time. What were we talking about?
We were talking about our location.
We're at the school. We're at Holy Family Catholic School in Grand Blanc, Michigan. And why are we here? We are here because you are in for a double secret special bonus. Namely, today should have been a school day, but God was all like, no, snow. And this is, I don't know if you're aware of this, this is my fault. About, 2 weeks ago? I tweeted and I was serious. Does anyone know when we're going to get winter? Which you never do in Michigan. But I did because I want snow and I want cold. I am fat and I like snow. So I remain impervious to the cold. Anyway, ever since I said that, we got snow. And today was a snow day. And what we should have done today, what we were going to do, you may remember I said I'm going to be in a fourth grade. For those of you who don't understand when I talk backwards, I was going to be in the fourth grade class today answering their questions. And then at the end of the school day, we have this huge raffle where we draw the winner. And we were going to do that. But now I'm doing it all on the show. We've got the questions from the fourth graders. And so I'm going to answer them. And not only that, but we're going to have the drawing for the raffle today because someone is going to win $87 million.
You can't do that.
Well, not on our raffle. I mean, someone somewhere at some point is going to win $87 million, I assume. But here today, someone will win $10,000. And a few people will win $1,000. I bought tickets. And the tickets that other people bought, I scratched off their name and wrote mine. So I'm moderately confident I'm walking out of here with some cash. Is no one laughing today? I think I'm funny. Okay, so how are we all doing? Are people here? Are they happy?
They are. Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So guys, what this is these are the questions our fourth graders submitted for me to ask or for me to answer. And so I'm going to read their questions and I'm going to answer them. And if our beautiful students from Holy Family are watching, I love you. I'm so proud of you and your moms and dads for all the tickets you sold for the raffle. And for our fourth graders, these are some great questions. And we're going to get right after them. But first, let's pause for a Coca-Cola drink. Now, with that little bit of caffeine in my blood, our first set of questions come from Ms. Mazur's fourth grade class, 4A. And that cracks me up because it looks like there's a 4A and a 4B. I would have been in the 4E. Yeah. Yeah, true story. I would have been in the 4E minus. Every year we do these masses for the high school graduates and all these kids with like cords. And it wasn't until I was done with grad school that I figured out what those cords were. I was like, why are those guys wearing that crap on their... And it's not decoration. Because those kids, they graduated magna cum laude and summa cum laude. I graduated thank the laude. That's how I graduated. So anyway, let's get after these questions. And remember, these were submitted by our beautiful fourth graders at Holy Family Catholic School in Grand Blanc, Michigan. So the first question, Dear Father Joe, yes, I am dear. What year did the Catholic faith begin? 33 AD. Okay, Jesus' blood from his side is you can think of that as the start of our faith. This faith has been trucking along for almost 2,000 years. Isn't that crazy? But we consider our start date Either some people would say Pentecost, some people will say the Last Supper, some people say it's when Jesus was on the cross and died for us. Either way, those events all happened within a short amount of time of each other. And we believe that's when we started, that Jesus started our church. And we're so blessed to be a part of it. Father, when and why did you know you wanted to become a priest? Well, that's a very long question to answer. So I'll try to give you the shortest version. Okay. When did I know I wanted to be a priest? I would say 1994. That was my second year in seminary. And you say, wait, your second year in seminary? Why not before your first year in seminary? Well, at that point, I thought I might want to become a priest. But when I was in seminary and saw what it meant to be a priest, that's when I knew I wanted to be one, right? So when did I know I wanted to? I would say my second year in seminary, 1994. And why? Why did I become a priest? Honestly, at first, I went into seminary because I felt like that's what Jesus wanted for me. I couldn't figure out why, but it seemed to me that that's what Jesus was telling me he wanted me to do with my life. And now I'm so happy he did. Okay? So if you want to know, every day, seriously, this is what I did. I would always say, Jesus, show me what you want me to do and help me to do it. And he did that, and I'm so grateful to him for that. I didn't think I would like being a priest this much. I love being a priest, especially being your priest. I think I'm blessed. When and where was the first church built? That's tough. We're not really sure, because for the first, 300 years of Christianity, there were very few churches. People tended to have what we call mass in their homes. So somebody with a big old home would say, well, come to my house and pray. There weren't many Christians back then. And sometimes they would pray in things that are called, not cemeteries. Give me a second, guys, okay? Oh, boy. I have a slow brain today. Underground graveyards, catacombs. They would often pray in catacombs, and why? Well, people didn't want Christians to be around back then, and so they would pray where people wouldn't catch them. And back then, Romans didn't go into graveyards that they didn't have to, so Christians would pray in graveyards because they knew they'd be left alone to pray. Well, the first church, one of the first churches, in fact, is in Bethlehem. No, I'm sorry, guys. My brain is slow today. It was in Jerusalem. And the Muslims knocked it down, and we rebuilt it, and they knocked that one down. And now there's about 5 churches under that one roof. And that's probably the oldest standing church that we got. Okay? If Jesus was alive, wait a minute. Jesus is alive. Did you know that? We say if Jesus was alive, how old would he be? Well, Jesus is alive. He's very much alive. We can't see him yet, but we know he's alive. But I think what you mean is if he never was crucified and he kept going like he was, well, he would be about 2021 minus 33.
21 minus 33?
33 minus 21. He'd be about 2012 years old. How do you like that? That'd be old. He would probably be collecting Social Security. Yeah. Okay. If God made everything, who made God? Well, that is a really good question, and it's very hard to answer, but I'm going to do my best. Okay? What we believe about God is that he isn't made. Okay? And we say, well, then how is he? We don't really know. How does God come to be if he isn't made? Well, that's hard for us to figure out. And why? Because we are made, right? Our moms and dads made us. And that's true of them, and that's true of their moms and dads. Every human you meet, you look and you say, well, someone made them, right? Well, now here's where it gets really hard to understand. And teachers, you might want to help with this one. Okay, but here's what we say. Now stick with me. This is really crazy. If every human you meet was made by someone else, well, then that means something had to make the first humans that doesn't get made. Oof, that's hard to explain. Yeah? So my mom and dad made me, right? And dad's mom and dad made him. And dad's was made by two people, and you keep going and you say, well, wait a minute, somebody had to start this whole thing that isn't made, that just is. This is tough for fourth graders. I hope you're hanging in there. So what we do is we say, well, somebody had to start everything, and whoever that is that started everything, they can't be something that got made, and that's where we find God. That's tough. Maybe someday I'll get to come in your classroom and try to do better, okay? How many years were you in school to become a priest? Well, if you go right into seminary after high school, then it'll take you 9 years. Okay, it takes about 9 years after high school to make a priest. Or if you do what I did, where I went to a secular college first, I didn't go right to seminary, it takes about 10 years. If you become a diocesan priest, there's lots of different kinds of priests. There's one kind called Jesuit, and if you want to become one of them, it takes 14 years. Wow, 14 years. I don't think you guys, are you 14 in fourth grade? No. Wow, that's a long time, isn't it? Yeah. So when did I become a priest? At about 10 after 11 in the morning on June 13th of 1998. Okay, about a little bit after 11 a.m. on June 13th of 1998. Best day ever. I thank the Lord every day. In fact, this morning it was funny. I woke up about 5 and my brain was busy. So the first thing I said, I woke up, I realized I was awake. I said, oh, Jesus, thank you for letting me be a priest. So first thing I said to him this morning. Try to make sure that's the first thing I say every day. When did Rome start and stop war? I'm not sure what that means. Let me see if I can help, okay? I'm not sure what...
If that teacher is watching, she can text me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Miss Mazer, if you're watching, could you please text us? Because I'm not sure I get it. If you mean the country Rome, well, gosh, we do know when they started. About 400 years before Jesus is when they had their first wars, right? And they were kind of big wars against people called the Etruscans. How do you like that name? Yeah. And they had lots and lots of wars over their time, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And about the time Jesus was born, they were really big. And about 100 years after Jesus was born, Rome was the biggest it had ever been. And then after that, they kind of started to get smaller. They started to lose wars. Yeah. And then that crashed in 450 something AD. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But they were around a long time, and they had a lot of wars. They had wars with people called the Etruscans, with people called the Samnites. These are their big wars I'm trying to remember. They had wars with people, the Punic Wars, with Carthage. They had lots of wars with Germans, tons and tons of wars with Germans. They have wars with people called Persians, which is where Iran is now. They had wars with, oh my gosh, everybody. Greece, oh wow. They fought Greece. They had wars with Israel. They had wars in what we call Britain now. They had wars with people in Spain. I can do this all day. They fought and fought and fought. That's all they did. Well, not really. They built things too.
She did say yes.
That's what she meant? Okay. So that Rome, they weren't Christian, all right? They were what we call pagans. Jesus hadn't been born yet. They worshipped lots and lots of gods. Like, let's see. Well, they had a god, this might kind of intrigue you, that they called Janus, Janus. And they said Janus had 2 faces. Yep. They said one in front and one in back. Okay, and they said, so Janus could always see forward and backward. So they said, well, Janus is the god that we celebrate at the beginning of a year. That's why we call that month January. Yeah, isn't that neat? Well, here's another one for you. Okay, is this interesting for fourth graders? Okay, here's another one. They had a god named Mars. Okay, and why did they have a god named Mars? Well, what they found is that every year when they would, all these wars that they had, okay, they wouldn't fight until they planted their crops. People weren't full-time soldiers back then. You worked, and then when you planted your crops, you would go fight. Why? Well, once they planted them, they didn't have to worry about them for a while. So they would plant their crops, and then they would go fight the wars they had to fight, and then they would all come back home. Get this, everybody would just say, okay, the fighting's over for this year. Why? Because we got to go home and harvest. This is true, right? Isn't this crazy? Well, what they noticed is that every year, when they just finished planting, they would see a new star in the sky, a planet, and it was red. And they said, well, that must be the god of war up in the sky. And he's red with blood. Okay? So they would then say, it's time to fight. So whenever they saw that star, they would say, oh, that's a god, and his name is Mars. Okay? And that's where we get the planet Mars, because that's what they were seeing. And that's where we get words like martial law, right? Meaning the law in the time of war. That's where we get martial arts, right? Fighting arts. All kinds of words, and that's where my dog name comes from, Marius. Yep, I named him after a Roman general. Is this? Yeah. So if you ever get to see a map of Rome back then, this is so cool. They had this the biggest city in the world, the Western world at that time. Get this, 30 years before Jesus was born, there were 1 million people living just in the city of Rome. And here's what's crazy. No city was that big again for 1,200 years. Isn't that something? But if you look at a map of that city, right in the middle of it is this huge wide open space. They had this big city just packed with buildings and people, and right in the middle was this big place, and it was called the Field of Mars. And that's where everyone went after they finished planting their crops. They'd go stand at the Field of Mars because they were ready to march off to war. Yeah. Okay. Who was the first pope's great-grandfather? Well, the first pope was Peter, and we don't know his mom and dad's name or their mom and dad's name, so I'm sorry. I can't help you, but I can tell you the first pope, his full name was Simon Bar Jonah. Okay, and what that means is Simon, and then when you see Bar, B-A-R in Hebrew, it means son of. And so we know his dad's name was Jonah or John. It depends on which thing you look at. And Jesus changed his name to Peter. Okay. Did people in the Bible have last names? Wow. Well, there you go. That's a perfect lead-in question, isn't it? Not really. No. People kind of had lots of names in the Bible. And they had lots of names for a lot of reasons. So we're going to take a look at that. How are we doing for fourth graders? Is this helpful? Okay. So first of all, one of the common names, like my friend John is right here. And John, what's your dad's name?
Thomas.
So his dad's name's Thomas. So we would say John Bar Thomas. And that was what people would call him. When he was a little boy, they would say John Bar Thomas. But as John would get older, there were a lot of people, and actually there were a lot of people named John back then. And so what would they do? Well, they would start to use what you and I would call a nickname. Like if they notice, like, gosh, John's really good at building things. Okay, maybe everybody said, boy, John really can build things. They'd stop calling him John Bar Thomas, and they would start calling him Builder, right? Or John the Builder. Or maybe they noticed that John's a very happy person, a nice person. Well, they would literally say John the Nice. And you think, well, that's crazy. No, it worked. People's lives were very small. You didn't know a lot of people back then. Most people, wherever they were born, that's where they lived their whole life. And most people never got within 30 miles of their home. Right? So their worlds were pretty small. They knew a few people really, really well, instead of like you and I who know a ton of people, but we don't know them that well. So people would get a nickname, And then another thing that would happen is as they got older, maybe they'd get a mission, or maybe they would do really good in a battle. And people would start calling them, like, so if John, again, maybe he goes to Utrea and fights a fight there and turns it, wow, he was really heroic and tough. They would start calling him John Utrea. Yeah, isn't that neat? So people had lots of names. And the other thing you had was everybody spoke a lot of languages. So you might have a name in Greek, a name in Hebrew, a name in Latin. That would be really common. So people had lots and lots of names. Isn't that crazy? It'd be tough to take attendance, wouldn't it? Yeah. Who was the first priest? Well, there's two types of priests. Okay. So the first priest would be Adam, right? Adam and Eve. And we would say he was a priest. But the first priest, like I am a sacramental priest, that's Jesus. Okay, he was the first one. And we're so grateful. Did people in the Bible have, oh, I did that one, didn't I? Did people in the Bible have last names? I answered that. Yeah, right? Did that? Okay, we got a couple moms here. So you got to tell me if this is, when fourth graders, I hope I'm helpful here. I hope this helps you.
It is. They're lucky.
Good. Okay, and then here's one. Is Canaan still a city? If so, are the people there still mean? Well, Canaan was more like we would say, well, back then we would say Canaan was a region, okay? Meaning it was like this big area, and instead of saying, well, there's the Smiths and the Joneses and the Johnsons, they would just say, well, those are Canaanites, right? People who live in that area, okay? So where is that area now? That's what we now call Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Jordan. So if mom and dad can help you, look at a map. Just look at where you see, I think I'm saying this right, Lebanon. I'm going around in a circle, right? Lebanon, Israel, like the West Bank and Gaza, of course. And then Jordan and Syria. Just make a little circle there. That's what we would call Canaan, okay? Are there still descendants of Jesus? Well, no, not physical descendants. Jesus didn't have any kids, and he didn't have any brothers and sisters like we call them brothers and sisters. Like you might see sometimes in the Bible, people will say, well, Jesus, your brothers are over there. But in Jesus' language back then, the language he spoke, there was no word for cousin, right? As you just said, brother or sister. You weren't, this is tough to do for fourth graders. Your mom might have had 3 boys, let's say, okay? And so let's say your mom gave birth to 3 boys, and I'm one of them. So what would happen is, what if her sister didn't have any boys? Well, she might give one of her boys to her sister. Because if a woman back then didn't have a male to take care of them, they didn't do well. Back then, women didn't work, and most work people did was very physical. And so it was harder for women to do than men. So you might find that maybe a woman has 3 boys and her sister doesn't have one. She might say, here's one of my boys. Love him and let him be your son. And they wouldn't distinguish and say, well, that's not really her son. Oh, no, that would be her son. Okay? So that whole way where we say brothers and sisters, people used it very differently back then. So Jesus, there's no genetic, no, that's not a word for fourth graders. Jesus didn't have children, and he didn't have brothers and sisters. So, but here's the cool part. Back then, when people adopted you, it's just like now, right? It's just like now where we don't say, well, that's not really your kid. They're adopted. No, not at all. Well, Paul, the Apostle Paul, he wrote in Romans that Jesus adopted us, that we're all his brothers and sisters. And Jesus said that at one point. When somebody said something to him, he says, well, who are my brothers and my sisters? Anyone who does the will of God. So you and me, we got a big brother in Jesus, and no one can take him in a fight. Yeah. Okay. When they say Jesus descended into hell, what does that mean, and what did he do there? Okay, this one's a little tough too. So when you and I talk about hell, Hell is a different, it means something different than what people said back then. Okay, why? God is always, we say, just, meaning God always does the right thing. He never does the wrong thing. He can't do the wrong thing. Okay? So before Jesus, and then Jesus, when he was born, at one point in John 14, verse 6, he says, "No one comes to heaven except through me." Now, but what about all those people who were born before Jesus? Right? Thousands of years of human history before Jesus. Do they all go to hell? Well, they were in a place we call Sheol. Sheol. And it wasn't a good place or a bad place. It was just a place where people, it says, waited. And you don't have to think too much about that one because we can't really describe it. But what we believe is that when Jesus died, he went down to Sheol, and he showed himself to everybody so that everybody who wanted to follow him to heaven could. Okay? And St. Peter writes about that in one of his letters, if mom and dad want to help you look that up. Okay? So these are all very good questions. Way to go, fourth graders. So did Adam and Eve go to heaven? Well, there we go. So they would have been down there when Jesus came and preached to them, and I believe they went with him. Sorry, guys, I got a little lost. Okay. If God loves us, why are there still bad things that happen? Things like COVID or cancer. Well, God is, where did it go where did that go? Oh, so God does love us. Okay. And we don't know why bad things happen. We really don't, except that the world is kind of broken. You know how, think of it this way. You love your brothers and sisters. You love your mom and dad. I bet you would do anything for them. But sometimes, you ever notice you're mean to them? Or you don't share? Or you might hit them? Or you might call them names? And that's not what you feel. That's not the love you have. That's just all of a sudden you forgot you love them and you did something bad, right? Well, when you get older, it kind of works the same way. You want to do what's right, but it's not always easy to do. And sometimes we just don't think. And the whole world is filled with people like that and always has been, right? So we unintentionally make the world a bit of a bad place sometimes. And Jesus is always ready to forgive. But what we want to do is keep in our heart God's love for us never changes, and that bad things happen because the world's a bit broken. But Jesus is healing it, and he's asking us, help me be an answer to people's prayers. Does this make sense? Is that helpful? You got it. Okay. These are very fine questions, fourth graders. You guys are awesome. And that's why some people are mean, too. That was one of the questions we got. Someone said, well, if God created everyone, why are some people mean? Because we don't use our choices so good sometimes, do we? Right? Like for me, if you said to me, well, here's some healthy food for you to eat, or here's a pie, what sounds better? Yeah? Now, we know, gosh, the healthy food's better for me, huh? I should eat that, but we don't want to. We want to eat the pie. Why? That's part of the reason we say the world's broken, because we're broken and we live in the world, right? So sometimes people are mean because they don't try anymore. They forget to be nice. They forget to use their choices well. And all we can do is pray for them. We can say, Jesus, please heal them. Please heal their angry heart. Because you never know. You know, one of the meanest people ever became one of the best saints ever. St. Paul. Yeah, he was a bully. He was mean. And Jesus healed his heart and made him one of the greatest saints ever. Where did the Garden of Eden go? You know, we don't really know. We aren't sure. Some people will tell you it's like kind of in the middle of Africa. Some people will tell you it's over by what we call Iraq now. Back then it was called Ur, or the Chaldees. We aren't really sure at all, but we guess sometimes. But we're never going to really know till heaven. Yeah. Were the dinosaurs before or after Adam and Eve? They were before Adam and Eve. Yep. So when we look at God creating the world in the Bible, it says he didn't create the sun and moon till day 3 or 4. I can't remember which. So a day before that wasn't 24 hours. It could have been 30 billion years. Right? Yep. All part of God's wonderful creation. You guys want to hear something really neat? I love this about God. You know, he could have made everything boring, right? You ever think about that? He didn't have to make a million different kinds of birds. He could have just made one kind of bird. He didn't have to make dogs. He didn't, right? God fills the earth with all kinds of beautiful, diverse creatures, including us, right? Some of us are different colors. So we got people who are white, who are black. We got people all over. It's so neat. God didn't have to do that, but he wanted to show us how his beauty is everywhere. Because remember how earlier we were talking about how we use our choices bad and we mess things up? Well, he's right there to remind us that he is better than the bad things we make. Look at how beautiful this world is. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to now move on to the next classroom's questions. You guys are doing so good so far. Oh my gosh. But you may have noticed, are there people watching who aren't fourth graders?
Yes.
Okay, so not fourth graders. You might be looking at this. Let me get out of the way. And by the way, see how I'm off screen, guys? Watch this. They gave me a chair with wheels today. And I just hit something. You should not have given me a chair with wheels. See all this? Isn't this cool? So what this is, what if I do this one, right? Like a boat? Okay. I can't explain what just happened. I can only tell you it did happen. Like if you're sitting and watching and going, did he just snap? No, this is normal. This is like Amy and Carrie are here. They work with me. This is just Friday. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so our kids and our beautiful kids know there's a lot of people in need, right? And especially where we are right now, we actually have broken a couple of our records for how many people we've helped in the last 2 months. Did you know? People really need a lot of help right now, and our kids found out. So they collected all of these items for us to give to people who need. And honestly, guys, on camera, you're not seeing, I don't think they're seeing half. I don't. And I praise Jesus for our beautiful moms and dads and kids who know that there are people who have real basic needs, right? And answered like dish soap and laundry soap and toothpaste. Thank God for toothpaste. Soap, deodorant. Thank God for deodorant. We don't want no stank. Yeah. All kind of Tide, right? See, and I was going to help myself. But if you take food that's meant for the needy, there's a special place in Perg for you. Yeah. So I do want to take a moment and acknowledge our beautiful kids and our beautiful moms and dads who sacrificed to make sure that people are going to be okay. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For those of you not at Holy Family, we have a unbelievably active, lively assistance for the poor here. And I praise the Lord every day for it. Okay. So now we're at Miss Elmer's class, and these are fourth graders too. So the first question, we got names on these. Lily. Hi, Lily. I love your name. I do. Okay. Lily asks, Father Joe, who is your favorite saint? Well, Mary, right? But that's not fair, right? So if we say, well, who's your favorite saint besides Mary, the Mother of God? Boy, that's tough. That's tough. I think I want to say St. Joseph or Augustine. I love those two. I love Saint. Think about this about St. Joseph. Okay, this is so cool. So God could have been born at any time in human history, right? But he was born 2,000 years ago. He could have been born anywhere. China, the U.S., Africa, Middle East. He picked the Middle East. He could have had anyone for his dad. Think about that. He picked Joseph. Isn't that cool? I love that. So you and I want to pray every day. Jesus, Help me to be so holy that you would pick me. That makes me googly. It does. Okay. So how many years have I been a priest? I'm in my 23rd year. I think that's how you say it. I can never figure this out. I was ordained in 98. So I think that's 23 years. But my 23rd anniversary is this year. Right. So I don't know how to say that. I've been a priest a while, and I love it. Poor Jesus. All right. Did Adam and Eve go to... Oh, we did this one. Okay. Why do priests wear black? Well, today I'm not wearing black. I'm wearing my Tiger shirt because I'm setting up a trip to go down and see the Tigers. And I'm so excited for spring training. This is the will of our Father in heaven. All right, so why do priests wear black? Well, it's what we say distinctive clothes. Namely, you'll see as you get older... you might be somewhere and think, oh, I need help. And you know, if you see someone dressed in black with the white collar, you know that's someone you can ask for help. And so we wear distinctive clothes so that people know you can come to us. We're going to try to help, right? And why black? Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but where Jesus was born, and it's hot. It's hot a lot. Now, there's no humidity, which is nice. But every morning when I would open the door, there were times where you ever open the oven door and get hit with that wave of heat? That's what it's like there sometimes. And so as you can imagine, people don't wear black. Yeah, you wear lighter colors. Well, when people would make clothes back then, they did something called dyeing. Okay, D-Y-E, dye. Okay. And so what they would do is get these tubs filled with colored liquid, and they would dip the shirt into that color, and so you'd get a red shirt, or if you wanted a green one, you stuck them in that one. Well, at the end of the day, they would take all the colors left over and pour them into one vat. And when you mix all the colors together, what do you get? Black. So black was the cheapest color to get because no one wanted to wear it, and because it was all used with all the leftover dye afterward. So priests wore that because that's what poor people wore. And again, distinctive clothes. Here's a cool thing, by the way. I don't know if any of you have the last name Fuller, F-U-L-L-E-R. But remember when you guys were talking about last names? Well, this is how some of our last names came about, like Fuller. What that means is somebody in your past was from England and dyed shirts, because that's what a fuller was. A person in England who dyed shirts was called a fuller. And again, so you say, well, how did last names come about? Well, that's how. Seriously, isn't that crazy? Smith, right? You say, well, there's a lot of people named Smith, right? Because the most important occupation forever was something called a blacksmith. People who worked metal so you could use it. And what would they just start to call him? John the Smith, which then just became John Smith. Did you know this? And it works with all kinds of names. It's really something. For example, Father John Klein is a priest. He's retiring. And he's one of my heroes. His last name is Klein, which is the German word for tiny. So at some point in his past, he had an ancestor who was known for being very small, and so they called him Tiny, which just cracks me up. But that's where most last names come from now in European world. Okay. Why do they ring the bell when the priest is blessing the bread? That's from Anthony. All right. Oh, and that, by the way, the question about wearing black was from Andrew. Way to go, Andrew. Okay, Anthony. The reason we do that is because Mass used to be in a different language than people spoke. Okay? Mass used to be in a language called Latin. And whenever people would go to Mass and the priest was praying, when he was doing the consecration, right, that's when you see my hands go over the gifts like this, right, and then I make the sign of the cross. We call that the consecration. When that happened, they would ring the bells so that people knew what was going on. This is a big moment. And I think, well, Mass is in English now. Why do we do it now? Well, kind of the same reason. If you're like me, it's hard to pay attention at Mass, huh? Yeah? And sometimes we need a little something to bring us back. Oh, that's right. We're at a very special point. Your minds probably drift during Mass. I know mine does. It's hard, isn't it? But we keep hanging in there. And Jesus understands it's hard for us, so he gives us these little reminders like ringing the bell. Yeah. Is it, huh?
Hannah's watching us.
Hannah is? Oh, hello, Hannah. I love your name too. I got to tell you, I could tell you a beautiful story about your name someday. Okay, Hannah asks, is it hard moving to different churches? Yeah, I've cried every time. I have. Every time I've moved, I cried. So let's see, from 1996 to 1998, I lived in Jackson. And then from 98 to 2000, I lived at St. Gerard. And then from 2000 till 2003, I lived at St. Thomas. And then from 2003 till 2007, I lived at St. John. And then from 2007 to 2009, I lived in East Lansing at a different house. And then from 2009 to, can you believe this, to 2012, I lived at Thomas again, a different Thomas. And then from 2012 till 2018, my longest place. I lived in 6 years at one place once. Can you believe that? That's my record. I lived in Hudson, and a place called Hudson and Manitow Beach. I helped out and covered a few parishes there. I was pastor there. And then in 2018, I moved here with you guys. Oh my gosh. So I thank Jesus every day that I get to be here. And I cried every time I moved. It was hard. I love people, and I love getting to know people. And when we love each other because of Jesus, it makes our bonds even stronger. Yeah. In fact, you know what? Is this Hannah? Yep. Hannah, I've been to, this is my 10th and 11th parish in my 23 years. St. Mark and Holy Family are my 10th and 11th parish in 23 years. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Why did you become a priest? And that's from Jimmy and Kat. Now, I answered that earlier. Okay. Were they watch? Are you? Okay. How many readings are in the Bible? Well, Drew, that's a tough one because I'm not sure what you mean. But if this helps, if you go to church every day for 3 years, then you'll hear most of the Bible. Yeah, you will have heard most of the Bible. Do you think that's an okay way to answer? I don't. Okay. So that's from Drew. Way to go, Drew. This one's from Robert. Can I say your name that way, Robert? Robert. And is our friends from Scotland here? We have friends from Scotland who watch. They'd say Robert, I think. Anyway, Robert, if we have taken First Communion, do you always take it?
So once you start.
Oh, yeah, you should. Yeah, every time you can, you should take communion. If you can get communion every day, that's awesome, right? I'm a priest, so I get communion every day. And why? Because when we receive communion, every time, we become a little more like Jesus, right? Isn't that something? How many years were you in seminary? Well, Matt, I got to skip a year. Okay. And that's like normally a guy like me would need to go to seminary 10 years. I got to go for about 8.5. So I was kind of lucky. 5 of that was at a secular college. Boy, that doesn't help, does it? 5 of those, I don't know how to do this. Sorry, Matt, stick with me a second, okay? So if you go into seminary right out of high school, you can finish in 8 years, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 9. Yeah, 9. If you go to a secular college, meaning you don't go to seminary right away, you go to a regular college and then go to seminary, between the two, it'll take you 9 or 10 years. I don't think you can do it in 9. Sorry, I messed that up. Who was the first saint ever? Well, I'm not sure what. Well, how's this? When Jesus was on the cross, do you remember that there were 2 guys also crucified? And one of them was really mean to Jesus. And then the other one was really nice and said, I know you're the Son of God. And Jesus looked at him and said, I promise you today you'll be with me in heaven. Remember that? He's our first saint. I think that's what you mean. Because there's other ways to look at this where you can say John the Baptist was the first saint, or our mama was the first saint. There's lots of ways to look at it. I'm not sure what you mean, but I think that's what you mean. That the first person Jesus said, you're going to be in heaven today, was that beautiful man on the cross. And his name starts with a D, and I can't remember it. Okay, how many saints are there? Lots. Oh my gosh, there's lots of saints. Okay, so let's think of it this way. Saints are people we know are in heaven. We believe with our whole heart are in heaven. And there's all kinds of different saints. It's kind of cool. There's saints that are martyrs. Those are people who died for Jesus. There are saints but just call saints, right? Who weren't martyred, but were very holy. And we recognize that. There's saints we call doctors. That's the rarest kind, I think. And those were saints who really taught us a lot. Oh my gosh. Men and women who taught us so much that we said they're not just saints, they're doctors, right? Like PhD saints. How's that? There are saints that we celebrate with memorials, like today, St. Agatha. So St. Agatha, what do we know about her? Come, Holy Spirit. She was executed about 250 AD by a Roman emperor named Decius. Okay. And we don't know a ton about her. So when we celebrate her, we call that a memorial. And what does that mean? Well, today we remember Agatha, but I could have done a different mass. Okay. And then there's major feasts. We could just go on and on. But how many saints are there? Lots. Lots. Why don't Catholics eat meat on Friday? Excuse me. Just because it's something different. Okay? It's a way we can sacrifice and show Jesus we love him by giving up something that we don't need, but that we want. Yeah. You might think, well, I don't want meat. Well, that's a sin. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So what we do is, like, think of it this way. This is how it at least works on my little brain, is when it's a Friday and I go to order my bacon cheeseburger. And I go, oh, nope, I can't. It's Friday. It's just a good way to think of God, isn't it? Right? We always eat meat. Well, when you then say, I won't eat meat, it's special enough where you'll remember. And then in that moment, you'll think to pray. Okay? Yeah. Is it hard learning how to be a priest? And I think this is Juliana. Yeah? Okay. Sometimes I found that hard. I liked it a lot. It was the kind of hard that's fun for me. There was a lot of reading and a lot of writing and discussion, and I liked that a lot. I loved it. How young can you become a priest? I think it's 26 or 28. Now, if you're younger than that, I'm pretty sure you can still be a priest, but they have to do a couple things like write the Pope a letter. Okay? Wow, time's flying.
There was a priest when I was 18. He was 26 and they made him stay deacon until he was 27.
Yeah. There's all kinds of rules about them, but they're always willing to break the rules if it seems okay to do. Breaking the rules is not the right way to put it. Making an exception. So I believe the standard is 28, but they might let you become a priest at 26 or 27 if you have a letter from the Pope. And they'd get the letter for you. Like, you wouldn't have to go to Rome or anything and meet with the Pope. Is priesthood more important than marriage? I don't think so. I think most people, I think this is okay to say, are made for one or the other. Right now, there are some people who God doesn't call to marriage or priesthood. But the more common thing is that we become one of those. And my prayer for all you watching it, all you boys watching this, is that you ask Jesus, do you want me to be a priest? And because I love being a priest. I do. Being a priest is so fun. And yeah, it's hard work, but oh my gosh, I love it. I do. What was your first church that you preached at? And this is from Logan. Oh, that last question was from Emma. Hey, Emma, by the way, my grandma's name was Emma, and I have a niece named Emma, and I love them both. Okay, Logan wants to know, what was the first church you preached at? Mount Zion. It's my home parish, and it's on that side of Flint. It's on the other side of Flint. And that's where I preached my first Mass on June 14th of 1998. And the gospel reading was the Gospel of John, and it was about Jesus multiplying the bread and loaves. I'll never forget it. Okay, well, my beautiful fourth graders. I missed one. Nadia. Oh, gosh, all these beautiful names, really. Okay, where do dogs go when they pass away? The Bible says they don't go to heaven, so where do they go? Oh, Nadia, I hope this is okay to say. The Bible doesn't say that, right? We don't know. We hope, at least me, I hope they go to heaven. Because I can't be heaven without them, can it? Yeah? Who could think of heaven without it? I've had a dog named Shaw. I had a dog named Agrippa. I had a dog named Bailey. I had a dog named Blossom. I didn't name her. And I've got Marius. And then we had a lot of barn dogs when I was growing up, and barn cats. Do you know about those? If you grew up on a farm, you know what I mean. You have animals that live out in the barn, and they don't come in the house. And I don't know, they're not really pets, but you do get close to them. And oh my gosh, I can name a million of them. Yeah, gosh, I hope I get to see them in heaven. I do? All right. Go to the top. All right.
Next week, and then we'll get ready for the drawing.
Pardon me?
Talk about next week.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so next week is going to be righteous. I'm very excited. Oh, my gosh, Teresa's here. We have the best principal in the world here, and you might be at your school thinking, ours is pretty good. That's cute. So next week on Wednesday, we're going to continue my discussion that we did on anti-Catholicism and American Catholic immigration, Catholic schools. So any questions from that lecture, just have them ready and we'll get after it. And I'm excited about that. Wait, should I? Okay, and if you don't have questions, we'll do our Lent one, because I've got that ready. I've got one ready to help us get ready for Lent. And then on Thursday, our guest, who is a goddess of hearing, Dr. Becky, and I'm not going to try to say Kloshlowski. Did you see the last name for the Mass intention today? Seriously, it was a Polish last name, so it was like CZX. L79er. I mean, I was like, I don't know whoever lector is. Today's Mass intention is for a guy from Poland. Yeah. So anyway, Dr. Becky, I can't say enough. If it wasn't for her, this is true, I wouldn't be able to hear confessions. I probably wouldn't be able to serve as a priest. I just can't. I can't hear without a lot of help. And she, my life changed because of her. And I can't wait for you to meet her. And wow, I'm going to get emotional. I just think of not being able to be a priest. And then on Friday, we'll do our question and answer. So, man, it's going to be a good week next week. And I will be as delicate and flowery as ever.
Now we're going to do a drawing.
And now we're going to do a drawing. I'm going to draw a stick man. Okay, no, now is the time where we're going to do our live drawing, and my dad is going to draw the winner. And the loser. Actually, there's the funny thing. Dad's going to draw the winner, and by doing that, he's going to choose a lot of losers. Because Look at all those tickets. So all the benefits from this go to our school, right, Teresa? And praise God, our beautiful kids and their moms and dads raised a total of $84,000 for our parish school. And I'm so thankful to them. That's a lot of money. And thank you, Jesus. So what we're going to do today, Dad, if you don't mind heading over by me. And what we're going to do is we will call the winners today. But am I going to say their names?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
When
So the
Amy
first
tells
one
you.
Dad's going to pull out is going to be the person who wins 10 G's. But we're not going to announce who that person is till the end, right? Keep the drama. Do you want to say hi or not really? You got to meet our principal. Okay. This is Teresa, and she fell out of heaven and landed in the principal's office. I'm serious. You're good at this. Gosh, I would be an awful principal. Like, I don't know how to be that tough and that nice. Okay. I can do one, but okay. So Dad, when you're ready, and I bought like 900 tickets, so I'm ready to win.
All right.
And I had to steal Dad's credit card to get half of them. Yeah. Okay, so Papa San. All right. Woohoo!
Close your eyes.
Okay, so Amy's got the first one, but we're not gonna look, right? Okay. Amy looked though. I think you looked. Amy looked. Amy, am I your best friend?
Me.
Am I your best friend?
No.
Okay, so now Dad's gonna draw one of our 5 $1,000 winners.
Yep.
Okay, and ready? Oh wait, what?
No.
Okay, here we go.
I have it. I have
You
it.
got it. Okay.
Yep.
Syracuse, K. Syracuse,
Yep.
Sold
it's,
by the Frederick.
sold by the Frederick family.
I think only the top winner gets
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
But we want to say who they're related
Yeah,
to.
way to go,
or
Fredericks.
How that ticket got there.
The Fredericks
Okay.
got one for K. Syracuse,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
K. I was gonna say Case Restaurant.
I know
Is
you
that
are.
funny? Okay, all right. So congratulations.
Not funny when it's an official drawing. We'll just stick to the name.
I'm helping. I'm teaching our 4th graders French. Okay. So now Dad's gonna draw the next $1,000 winner.
Yep.
You ready, Papa San?
There we go.
All right.
Oh.
Oh, did you hear her go? Oh.
Oh.
All right, ready?
Oh, let's see. Jill Bain.
Jill Bade. Congratulations, Jill
Yay.
Bade. $1,000 winner. Way to go, Jilly. All right.
I'll shake it up again.
All right, Dad's gonna, or no, Ami's gonna shake it.
No, we'll do one more and then.
Okay, because I can shake it. Okay. Okay. And here's the next winner. Okay. I'm having trouble reading it.
And I'm
But-
having trouble reading it.
The person who sold the ticket, can I do that? Is L. Marnie. We do have a number on here that we will call, but we cannot read the handwriting. So this person who bought the ticket from L.
Can
Marnie.
you show the ticket? Can we
I don't
show
know.
the ticket?
Well, it's got
No.
the address and phone
Oh.
number. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you won $1,000. Way to go. All right.
So we all have hope.
Yes.
Yes.
It
If
could
you
be
know
me.
the seller.
That's how I write
was
my
with
name.
bad handwriting.
And I've changed my number. Okay, so Ami is writing it down, and now Dad's going to draw 2 more, I believe, but one at a time, of course. Yes. All right. Whenever you're ready, Papa San.
Oh, look.
You see, he was going through that earlier. Okay, and then this winner is Rachel Higgins
Mensa.
sold by Rachel Higgins Mensa. Congratulations, Rachel. Way to
Congratulations.
go. That's a grand right there. Woohoo! After taxes, it comes to $8.13.
Okay. and
Okay,
the
one
last
more, Dad.
Last one.
One more to get my
Last
name.
one.
Oh, no, wait, we got one more.
And then we're going to announce
That's
it.
right.
So.
Holy cow.
There
Okay.
it is.
And the last one.
Okay. Last winner is
Diane Hall.
Way to go. Sold by Sammy Randazzo. All right. Diane Hall, congratulations. You won $1,000. And you helped our school. Every one of these people who won, you helped our school.
Yes,
I
you
just
did.
think that's
Thank
so
you.
cool. So now Ami is going to reveal to me the $10,000 winner.
wow.
Are you ready?
Somebody
Yes.
we know?
Jill
Jill
Bade.
Bade.
She won twice. Jill Bade, way to go! Holy
Oh my
cow, woman!
goodness.
Way to go, Jill. So, Jill, you've won twice, and you supported our school twice today. How cool is
Yes.
that? So, a
Awesome.
huge congratulations to all of our winners, and a big thank you to all the losers like me. Because even though we didn't win, seriously, we won.
Wow.
Because-
Supported Catholic education.
That's what I mean. How
Yes.
many kids are now going to be able to get a quality Catholic education because you gambled? I love being Catholic. Yes.
No, you introduced, and somebody asked if that was me. You have to introduce her again.
Oh, okay. This is
sorry.
Teresa Purcell. She's the principal at our school, and she is, I'm serious, she's amazing. And she loves our kids, and she loves to teach. And I thank the Lord every day that she's our principal. We don't deserve her. And then over
And?
here is Ami or
Come in a
Amy.
little bit, Amy.
Amy is, poor Amy, she's a bookkeeper at a Catholic church. which means you see her like over a calculator sweating and crying a lot. But don't worry, we pay her almost nothing.
That's right.
Yeah, so that makes up for it.
It does.
And as you can see, blessed am I among women. Really. Yeah. So, now I'll do a closing prayer. And again, thank you so much. And if you actually, you know what I thought of? We could tell God's people next year about this raffle and see if anyone watching the show wants to participate.
Sounds great.
We would love that, obviously, because this is a huge part of how we keep our school open. We can't charge cost to educate. We can't. Nobody will be able to come. So we count on you beautiful people who support our parish in so many ways. And when you support the parish, you support the school. And when you support the school, you support the parish. We're one family. And so thank you for all of you who have donated. We're so blessed. And I will shut up now. This is basically like the post-communion prayer homily.
And close out Catholic Schools Week.
Yeah, and we're gonna. Oh wow, sorry. It's probably you get to sleep maybe a little now. Yeah. So let's say a prayer in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Jesus, thank you for Saint Agatha. Although she was young, you used her courage and her love for you and her purity to draw people closer to you. And we ask that through her intercession, you bless all Catholic schools everywhere. All the mums and dads and teachers and faculty and staff and squeakers and priests who make that school happen. Bless them all. Keep them safe. Lord, you know these are scary days for a lot of schools and nonprofits, and we ask that you give us peace and confidence in you. For all of the people and circumstances in our life that we worry about, we give them to you now with great love and with great trust. And may Almighty God bless all of you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I'll see you next week, and thank you for tuning in.